I'm still in Sydney.
And where are you, James, right now?
I'm in San Francisco,
Okay.
California. But yeah, that behind me.
His name, I don't remember anymore. It's 7. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. So
Next declaration. Everybody seems prophet. No, we have just a moment.
Playing Lego.
Yeah.
So the name is Hope of Garden or the Garden of Hope. Which way?
with
Hi, MB. Hi, Claudio.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, everything is fine.
I'm very happy for your costume. Thank you.
What?
I'm very happy for your outfit.
Ah, thanks very much.
I'm just displaying. I want to introduce you one each other. Of course, Claudio already know Alfonso.
Yes, ciao.
I remember maybe 2 years ago when I told in an afternoon in this same office, I told, but why you don't call? What you haven't still called Alfonso Femia on Identità Urbana? Did you remember? Maybe 2 years
in the
ago.
last century.
Yeah, it was the opening for the for the third edition with the decor.
Another time.
Claudio Alfonso already know, and I'm just talk with Alfonso about Ambi. So now I can introduce yourself each other. Both of you is a French speaker. So speaking, so maybe later you can speak one each other easily. Alfonso is one of our Italian architect, one of the best Italian architect. I love his work.
There is not a sport architecture. There isn't the best.
He's an humble body, but
no, this is a good point.
A good architect.
I like it. This architecture is not a sport.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's a battle. It's difficult, but it's not a sport. Is my friend Ricciotti is explained the architecture as the sport de combat. Is a sport to every way to have one action. So the responsibility, but it's not a sport for the reason the better. It's very difficult. It's not easy the question for me.
And I was just telling to Alfonso about Ambi, about our friendship, about his experience as intern in my office. I have with me here your model. Maybe you remember, we was working on this house in Egypt. Do you remember? I don't know if
we can see it.
We
can see it.
Yeah. I have this background with me, so I don't know.
No.
But this background is very useful because today everybody have to share some image. And I choose for today San Girolamo in his office house. What is this, Bo? Leo is here. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Maybe there.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Leo. Pleased to meet you.
Hello. Nice to meet you all too.
Yeah. Pepe Matteo. Michael maybe is arriving, and also James. But here we are already Alfonso Femia, an Italian architect. Gregorio Carboni Maestri is professor in Belgium Faculty of Architecture. Claudio Nelli is the our host.
good.
Is the moderator, is the man able to guide ourselves or move back ourselves to the reality if we are if we are too much philosophical, because the goal of this series of talk is to stay on this reality, on this present, just in this moment. And meanwhile, a lot of people is looking at the past or dreaming a different future. No, but this present is really interesting. So we could talk about this reality, feeling our soul, feeling our heart. Also, today I choose a song for this episode. Later is a surprise for Gregorio Carboni Maestri. Gregorio is our spiritual advisor.
On that matter, I would like to say that I don't remember who said that only reality is revolutionary, right?
Yeah. And also we with us MBMB. Sorry, somebody is asking with a number. I don't know who is. Let me check. Hi, Mike.
He's connected.
Can you
Hey, hi.
How are you?
Hey, Pepe. Hi, Leo.
I was
Hi,
just
Mike, how you going?
Oh, hi, everyone.
Introducing one each other, our guest. The other guest you already met. I just talking about MBMB. MB is just graduated architect. He was is my former internship of mine, former interns of mine, and maybe now and maybe now, Michael, you can introduce you could introduce Leo.
Yes. I can introduce Leo. Leo is an artist. He is a lecturer in design at the University of Western Sydney, and he's my good friend of maybe 30 years, 40 years. And look at it, he does painting. His paintings in the background. So he paints natural and cultivated gardens, and he loves the whole idea of gardens and gardens as a way to the future.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, good description.
And
Hi, Alfonso.
now also James should arrive soon. And as I promised, also for today I choose a song. For today I choose the Bob Dylan. Because the last episode I chose the Dua Lipa, because this is a pop series, so we have to mix every kind of possible input. And for today I choose. Last time I chose the Dua Lipa, and I chose this new song. This song was public starting from the 27th of March. The whole album, the title of this album is Future Nostalgia. No, I explain why I chose that song to start, because often, as Gregorio could remember, when I was teaching in Politecnico of Milano, I was professor. I was lecturer in Politecnico for 15 years. So often I was talking about nostalgia of future nostalgia now, because Future is still to come. Past is already gone. And we are living in the present. As Walter Benjamin said, like somebody is working with the back to the future and the eyes on the past. Now, so the future, we don't know the future, but sure we are in the present. So it could be convenient to stop some time and look the present. And virus stopped us, and personally is making I'm feeling my heart, feeling my Mr. Tambourine Man, feeling my sound in my chest. And so I choose for this episode this song.
Very nice choice.
And yes, James is here, so we could start. Maybe Michael could introduce James.
On the introduction, James is James. You here?
I am getting. Hold on a second.
Okay. While we're coming up, James is a rock star architect.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, shit! I'm not a rock star. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to get connected here.
On which planet today?
Our rock star architect.
How come I can't see you guys?
In planet.
Here we go.
Captain Kirk.
Hi, hello. How are you?
Hi man, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, yes. Now I can see you. It was a little
Yeah.
hectic. It wasn't connecting.
So we could start. I just leave Bob Dylan playing his Mr. Tambourine Man. I hope this is Italian wine, not Californian.
I'm sorry. Let me check.
This is Californian wine. But Californian wine is very good. To be honest, it's very good. Maybe better than Australian.
This. Oh my God! You pissed off. You just
don't-
pissed off two
don't
of my
fuck-
friends. This is actually. This bottle is. This is actually from
Yeah,
Oregon.
not bad. Not
It's
bad.
from Oregon. It's a transparent bottle. It's
What
from
time-
Oregon.
What time is it there?
It's 11.
Oh, yeah. So, I would just leave Bob Dylan playing is Mr. Tambourine Man, and I would explain also why I choose this background. This is an Italian painting. I could share with you this image. Can you see, I hope?
Yes.
Yeah. This is a small painting. Seems so big, but to be honest, it's so small because it was painted by Antonello da Messina. He's a painter from my same hometown, Messina, a small town in Sicily. And he painted this small picture as a sample, as a catalog, because he was moving to Venice, searching for new clients, and he painted this small, approximately 40 for 50 woodboard, so he can move this artwork with him and show it to his to Venetian possible clients. Currently, this painting is in London to the National Gallery, National Gallery, into the National Gallery. And I would share with you because through these windows, we can see a small architecture into an architecture. No, personally, I'm living this kind of situation because in Milano houses is very small. Last episode we was talking and joking about the relationship between hope and also garden. No, hope is all philosophical, but garden in this period is so useful because I would like to have a garden in Milano because I'm living as San Girolamo in this situation close in his architecture. It's funny this picture because he's living into this architecture, and every part of this architecture seems a small architecture, no? So the chair seems a tower, and even the desk seems a broken arch. And I love a lot this kind of situation with this small cat, just for Claudio Nelli. So in this way, I want to introduce this episode, and Liv, you can share with us what are you feeling, how are you feeling?
About this, I love, as an artist, I love the frames within the frame and how it's composed. I'm very interested in paintings that set up a stage, and this is very much that, the way it steps. So when was this painted?
Yeah.
No, he asked when.
When was this painted?
Well, for 1472.
Yeah.
1475, maybe. In the middle of his life, because he was he may be the same age of Piero della Francesca, so he born 1430 approximately, and so it was around 40 years. No, for at that time, it's very, very old, no? Because now we have the problem. A lot of people is very old, no? But in that time, 45 was pretty old.
It's also the beginnings of the understanding of perspective and how to replicate it in paintings, the depth.
Yeah, I have to increase my volume because I can. Yes, so this is the way everybody of us could share some image, something to share with us, and we could start with Alfonso. At the meantime, because in Italy this is early morning, so at the meantime I could prepare an espresso. Okay.
Not again. after this meeting.
Let's go.
But thank you very much, because I think this in one way is very interesting to have it as a geography. No, this panel is more interesting because there is one first words I like is one idea of the geography. The geography, how you know, is the drawings by the man of the land, because it's not one of the first act of the man. And this question, I think, is today we have. I think for the first time in the history of the world, the most part of the world, they live the same feeling, the same question, the same modality. No? I think this is very particular because in one way we talk a lot with one matter for me very important. How you introduce it is the time. You talk the timing with the idea of the future of nostalgia. I think the vision for the time is possible. Is one way for discussion. It's possible to have one way by Newton. No? Newton, we create the time by seconds, continuous, interrupt, fluid but is the recent relationship in the Newton vision by the action around the time, is a consequence. I believe a lot, much in the vision of Sant'Agostino. Sant'Agostino explained more or less what you explained, but it's more different because the reason they don't exist the future, but is the addiction of the present. Is very also the idea of the creation of the world by the God is the present by the present, the present by the present. I think this vision is very interesting if you talk by the architecture, by this moment, by the future, by the idea of responsibility, because in one way they accept the idea. Also, we don't have one relationship very strong with the time. It's very early. I have also the office open. I don't know why. Sorry, because I stay alone. I don't know. And I think it's very important to understand if you believe, because the picture is a very interesting way. If you stay in one idea of present by present, we give one also feel by the idea of responsibility. So you must understand the action and the reaction by different people. Or they accept, you stay in a sequence of the time in a long period. It's not possible to make nothing action. For this question, I think, for example, I like very much Antonello da Messina, especially the Annunziata, especially I like very much what you explained, because there is, in this little dimension, there is a very infinity world, you know. It's for this question, for example, your picture, shows your picture. I think there is this idea also, the one idea of the time of the Sant'Agostino, no? Because I see in this picture, in this picture, sorry, different present, you know? The present of the man, the present of the landscape, the present of the house, the present of the idea of the vision of the world, the present also of the quotidianity, the idea of the intimacy, no, for the people. I think every way today, if you have one very important crisis, is the connection by the collectivity and intimacy. For me, the architecture is every way staying this line very, very difficult, very not very strong, but intimacy and the collectivity. And because they connect, you know, the different time, they connect the different culture, they connect the different condition. Today, we transform our intimacy in one, at this moment, in one sort of collective space, and same time I think we change also in conscious way one modality to use the time. So I think it is interesting if you understand, for example, your vision or your relationship by the time. I every way in the last year in my conference I start by we are time. It's different if you decide we are time or not, because in this idea is not is in one way we explain or we accept the fragility. We have a time, but is nothing in the very time of the world. But in some time is very time, because if you accept this, you decide this, all of your action is the action of your time, and same time you are connected with other time. I think the time is very elements for 2,000 years. The culture of the part of the world, they have one reference very important with the time. We built, we think, for an idea of the time we don't possible to see. I think the last 50 years is possible. We have a lot of occasion for to see what you think, not a lot, not at all, a lot of things. So you change the relation by the time. And we must, especially in this moment, I think we want to understand how it's possible to reconnect with the time. Because if you understand this, I think it's possible to create a very condition to have a different point of view of our experience and sometimes to connect with other space. I think this is a possible for me, one reflection is very important. And for to finish, the way I connect an idea of around the time with another two words. Okay, for me is the sense of architecture. In one way is the responsibility, and the other way is generosity. Generosity is a good man. Generosity is one idea of understand how the collective space is very important in architecture. In the last 20 years, there isn't. We lost the idea of the public space. We lost the idea of a building with a very generous space for to meet, for to pose, for to perception of the reality. So we lost a lot. We lost the idea of every action, especially in architecture, especially in the city, especially in the territory, we must be generosity. If you, if you return at the image of Antonello da Messina, is not only beauty, it's not only fantastic, it's very generosity space. It's at the same time intimacy space, a collective space. It's one window for the world. It's open in this condition. What you like is invited to entry in this world. I think there is, we must to return to discussion of these points. On coffee? I don't know if it's clear, or if it's understanding, or is clear my voice.
Yeah. I've been making notes.
Okay.
This hour, nothing is clear, but anyway.
But this is part interesting. We must, it's not, it's necessary not is to all too clear, because we must open the window for to create the direction.
I do like the idea of generosity.
You are waking up my brain now.
Yeah. Now the issue of generosity is interesting. All these words I take notes about is this word is interest, generosity, responsibility, time. No, different time, the same time. It's true. It's true. My present is different from the present of a lot of people in the same present. But all of us, because the two words we choose as a title, we had to decide the order of these words. No, is hope of garden, garden of hope, hope with garden. No, we are playing with these two words, but these two words is very important, because hope is really the most deep feel we have inside, and we have to have inside in this present. And the garden is the planetary garden that everybody offer us with generosity, and everything. And maybe we could, we are understanding that we should have more respect for this generosity. So maybe Leo could talk about your research and your work about this garden.
Well, there's two strands to what I do. In my research as a designer at Western Sydney University, I'm working on a project which is a planetary health initiative with the Blue Mountains City Council. And it's looking at putting a planetary health framework with at the heart of all decision-making of council's decisions around livability, being an eco-city of the arts within a World Heritage listed national park. And so I'm working with a team of people around that. And that's just starting to, we've got some research funding, and we've partnered with another university in Australia called Monash University, which is with their Institute of Sustainable Development. And we're looking to get that off the ground at the beginning of next year. So, and part of that project is looking at how we build resilience in the community that has environmental pressures brought on by tourism, types of development, being an eco city of the arts. So we're looking to try and how do we put in place systems and support innovation, creativity, enterprise, circular economies, and regenerative cultures. And we don't actually have an architect on our team, but we've got quite a few people who are interested in transport systems, food systems, health systems. And so I kind of was responsible in putting this project together and bringing in, I suppose, the experts in the field to help look at this project. And gardens, I suppose, I live in a place that's got 2 acres of gardens. So I'm part gardener, part artist, part academic. I actually don't have a clue what I am, but I do love gardens. Maybe I could share a few images of paintings of my garden so that you can get an understanding of the type of paintings I do. Would you like that?
Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me just, hang on, I'll call it up first. Let me just have a look here. Okay, so this is some of my paintings. We'll start with this one. So this is from the last exhibition called Gardens, Fragments of Life and Loss. And so all the paintings that I'll show you are from my own garden. And this, I paint on plein air. Do you know what a plein air is? Painting from life. I make studies of my paintings from life, and then I take them into the studio and rework them into more complex, larger scale paintings. This is a 2.5 meter painting by over 1 meter deep. So quite a large work. And you can see they're fairly detailed. So, you know, sometimes I work the traditional painting. So sometimes I think I'm back in the 15th century. You know, because I haven't moved very far from some of this stuff. So this is a kind of portrait of my father's garden in Queensland. My father's looked after this plant for the last 40 or 50 years, and I did it as almost as a celebration of someone who has manicured this particular plant into a very weird and wonderful, strange little landscape. But it also the ideas of the roots being, you know, traces of past growth and searching for the ground, that whole idea of the importance of soil, but also, you know, the way as individuals, we also garden in our own way. Our personalities are reflected in the way we treat the environment, the way we kind of manipulate the world around us. And my interest in gardens is also around how as human beings, we're compelled to change the world around us. And as architects, probably also you are part of that process. So I also did a small series of paintings on pages from a book that a friend of mine gave me around practical gardening for amateurs. So that idea so this book was really full of stories about different poisons you could use on the garden, different types of, you know, kind of quite toxic fertilizers that you use. So in planetary health terms, the type of gardening we don't really want to do. So I just wanted to highlight some of those issues around past gardening practices and just putting together. So these are quite small works. They're only this, size of a little book. And I also cut little sections into the pages and had little inset. So these are miniature paintings. They're about 5 centimeters by 4 centimeters deep. And so that gives you a little bit of an idea of what I've been up to. And this is a new work that I'm sort of working on. So I've taken scenes from my garden. So this is quite a small painting, painted, on paper, and I'm now transferring it onto something that's close to 3 meters, 3 meters wide. So quite a big painting. And that idea of, when we walk through a space, through a garden. So this is all within my one garden, but these are all different views. So that idea of how do I encapsulate that feeling of of the multiple views and personalities within the one small 2-acre garden. I thought I'd share this also with you. I've got another project that I run called the Painted River Project, and it is a community. The idea of it is I've joined art and science together, and I invite the public to come together at a river system or at some kind of dam or pond, something related to water, and I ask them to paint a new future for that place. So it's around the idea of supporting the uniqueness of each place, painting a new future for it. And like Giuseppe was saying, that idea of, and we talk about time, taking time to slow down, to look, to think about the beauty that's right in front of us and celebrate that. And as part of this project, while people are painting it, they can also work with scientists, test the water of what's in the water, talk about the ecology, and have an experience around the environment and place. So that just gives you a few ideas. So there's some scientists testing water and looking at what's in the water. And I also have extended this project to work with some Aboriginal people in Central Australia, where we're going and working, painting, we call it in Australia, painting on country, some of their sacred sites, which is quite a special. I've developed a relationship with these Aboriginal artists for many years, and they've invited me and a group of people to go and paint with them and celebrate one of the rivers that is quite sacred to them is called the Finke River, and it's the oldest river system, continuous living river system in the world. So that's quite a special opportunity to do that. So when we next do it, I might share it with Mike and invite you all to come and paint a river. Yeah, so that gives you a little kind of understanding of once we get through this lockdown and we can start traveling again, I'd love you to come out to Australia and paint a river with me.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Invitation.
Thank you, Leo.
Very interesting.
Yes, as both of these small classes, small but interesting classes, the role of the community is going up, is appearing to our eyes how much is important in this field of our civilization, to restore the relationship with the community, and how much community can give us while we are interacting with it. And so now, MB, you could really talk with us about your community now, because we met one each other months ago, and in this case, our community was me and you, your colleagues, our offices. But step by step, we know one each other better, and you. I remember maybe a couple of months ago, you appeared with this amazing outfit to tell us about your family, other part of our personal community, our family, our biography is fundamental. So let's talk about MBMB.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Thank you. So, yeah, last time I had a presentation about my culture, like to explain a little bit about how it's working in Congo, like back in Africa. So I'll have to share a presentation. It was more about a reflection on African culture identity, like trying to understand the meaning of landscape, environment, territory. Like the population is called Bantu because we have different ethnic groups in Africa. So the case study is in DRC, in DR Congo. So first of all, I have to explain like where everything started. Like DR Congo Africa had the influence of European colonization, and it's where the countries come from. So every country has like something from their colonial, from the European country which occupied it. Like for instance, Congo was occupied by Belgium, and then we got some of their culture inserted in our culture. But before then, there were different states, the states in Africa, which were formed before the European came in Africa. Now, I'm going to focus on this part, the Bantu states, which is the civilization here is different from the other part and from this one. Like the Western Africa, it has its own way of civilization. Even Ethiopia, which had also a very ancient civilization, it has also developed different way. So here in the Central Africa, it's where we have Congo nowadays, and we had different states before the European came. And as I explained last time, my father, for instance, come from this part, is Ekuba. My mother come from a small state around here, it's called Shi. And then the problem was like during the conference of Berlin, when they partitioned Africa, different states were put together in one country without having similarities. So what is it about African, the way we live in Africa? We need like a king is like a father, like a god, and is the source of all zestful life living. So he's the one who maintains the relationship in all the country, all the states. But with the Western influence, we see like here people start having different clothing. Even the slave trade also affected really the African continent. But what matters about the community is the social gathering, but also the art. They started thinking about the art, and this was replicated in the building, like designing the wall, trying to make it a little bit beautiful. And the art, as I said, is the different way to see life and to communicate with others. So in the Bantu philosophy, actually for us, we focus only on the human being, like it's called a vital force. Like the human being is the center of everything. So everything we do is like to reinforce that force in us. So, but before we had also the idea of like dealing with other forces, because it's not only the human which occupies the earth, there are also animals, vegetables, there are material or mineral forces. So one force that is greater than the other can paralyze it. So we have to really take care of how we deal with all the different forces around us. So I came across this. This is from the Kuba Kingdom, the way they were living, like in a community, they were doing like a circle like this and try to have a meeting. And you can see like there's a hierarchy, like the king is here, is not in the middle, and there are people who are not supposed to be in this circle. Here there are some women with some animals like doing other stuff. So it brings the hierarchy, and it shows like how people were like thinking about the nature and how decisions were taken. Like if you have something to say, you have to come around here and everyone sees what you are saying. So this is like a painting about Congo Kingdom. It was an ancient kingdom before it had influence of Portuguese. And this is a planned city when it was influenced by the Portuguese, because the Portuguese came in the central part of Africa. And then the kingdom of Portugal and the one of Congo, they tried to have some exchange of culture, of way of designing building. And you can see like the idea of gated community started already, and some public spaces, and people who were not in the city could come, but in the city it was well defined, the street and everything. So what is it about the community? In Africa, we really think about like living together, and the community makes like the energy, like people who are together can make their force being like increase. So this shows like how the communities really have a big meaning in Africa. How this was translated into architecture, you see like the same way the people were meeting, like it's the same way their villages were formed. Like the father could have like his own house here, and all his sons could build around and make the boundary. So this public space around in the middle could be a place of gathering, and it could have like, I mean, each family can have like one entity like this, and then many of them can form like a big village. So in the Bantu philosophy, the human being is a force. The environment is also a force, because we have to deal with the environment. If we cut all the trees, we'll have the impact of drought. And for us, landscape doesn't really have a meaning. Landscape is like an interaction of the human with the environment. So for us, we're not designing really the landscape, but we're interacting with the environment, like keeping what is beautiful in the nature and try to make ourselves like strong enough so that the nature doesn't kill us. But the territory has the meaning because it's the power. The more territory you have, the more power you have. And there's also a concept of negative and positive space. Like we have to know like this is like the positive space inside is defined by this negative space, which is the limit between the a positive and what is happening beyond the boundary. So we have also fragmentation. We don't really like to have like massive building unless it's a monument or it represents something really strong for the culture. But we need like fragmentation, like to have like that idea of like many people come together. There's also the difference between hard and soft boundaries. So this was my design thesis. I did like a design of a public space, but also I tried to have that fragmentation, and it was designed in an area with high density, and in the idea was like not to block, but to connect every part of the city. And you can see like really it's high dense. And this is what's really happening with the fragmentation. Like in Africa, when you have a house, in the future, your children will have this, like will inherit your land. And instead of occupying your house, they will fragment and get some small houses. That's why you see like the cities are growing really fast with this kind of urban sprawl. So we have also this idea of boulevard. It was also in our culture to have like a way leading to the chief house. So about the topography and landform, you can see like we have this big forest here, the tropical forest. And in Congo here, there's the biggest one. It has the largest one because we have the river Congo here, and we have all those lakes. But also the Sahara Desert is like was like, okay, it was said like before it wasn't a desert, but now it become like a boundary, which didn't allow our civilization to go beyond the Sahara Desert. So this is the river Congo and the big forest. Actually, there are no people living in the forest. It's just like a big forest and swamps. And this is my favorite animal, like the gorilla. It's also in the, the forest. So I'm going back to the main city, Kinshasa. It was called Kinshasa la Belle. Kinshasa, it means Kinshasa the Beautiful. It has also this boulevard, like it was also the same concept of leading to a place of the king. Now they replicated it into the design of the city. And you see, but once I was in Kinshasa, I walked in this boulevard. This building seems too massive and too heavy. And the boulevard is really wide, that the scale of the human being is really small. And you feel like it was really done during the colonial period to show the power and the influence of the government on the population. The same way, you see like the buildings which are along the boulevard, they are really massive, and alongside you see like low-rise buildings. So the same way, this is the boulevard. It's really a unique feature of the city. And I'm going to show some maps, a little bit of map. Actually, this is Kinshasa. There are two Congo. Like Kinshasa, Congo DRC is the country I'm from, but there's also a Republic of Congo, which is just close to Congo. We don't have anything in common, just that for us we're like under Belgian influence, but the other Congo was under French influence. So our capital city are close by. There's Kinshasa here and Brazzaville here. But you can see like Kinshasa is really big. So the boulevard was designed around here. This is the boulevard. And it's where the central business district is located, and all the political, buildings are located also. And you can see it's also next to the Congo River. This is the Congo River, because after this, everything was taken into the river, and the boats could bring it till the ocean and connect to the Atlantic Ocean. So now we have the problem of high density. As you can see, it's really dense. And the problem is all these parts are residential, and they are mixed use because there's some commercial happening alongside the streets. All the streets here have some commercial activities happening, and the fragmentation of building is we can have one building here of the same family, and then when he has the son, he just give all the land to his son, and all the parts become more dense. And that's how the city is growing really fast. It has a lot of population. And now they're reclaiming lands next to the river. This is the Congo River. Now, this is what they call Cité du Fleuve. It's all this part is a swamp, but now people are building on the swamp. They're trying to get more land on the swamp and buildings. I mean, they're trying to make some level of sand and then building on it. That I can talk about Kinshasa. So the city is growing and continuing like this, but all these parts is the swamp and the River Congo. Now I'll talk about a little bit of my city, my town city. It's not really that big, but you are also next to the lake. But this city is on hills, so we have an organic shape, an organic layout. And the river is really important for us because it helps cool down the climate here. And then we have another city next to the river. It has also that idea of boulevard. There's this one main street, a main road with this one. It connects almost everything until here where the king should be, would have been living. And this city is next to the volcanoes, and the volcanoes around here. And sometimes it has suffered from the eruption of the volcano, and every time it's been rebuilt now and then. So more or less that, and maybe to show that fragmentation, I can show this. This is how the villages were. You see that soft boundary, the buildings, the different huts, and then after that the forest is there, and then here there's this public space which was formed here. And you can see also some buildings, the big building for halls for. Yeah, there's some meeting which could happen inside. And I really like this one because I like the material they use. This is the material they use, and it really helped cool down the building. And inside it was really, really nice, to have a meeting with different chiefs, and they could make a decision inside. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I learned 100 things today.
Yeah.
Can I have a question?
Yes.
In terms of, we are talking about architecture and urbanism, but do you consider both capital as the same city, because virtually are the same city?
Sorry?
The two capitals, Brazzaville and Kinshasa, are virtually the same city, the same place.
Actually, no. Kinshasa was formed before Brazzaville, because before there was a kingdom called Kingdom of Congo.
No. Of course, I know that there are two different, very different countries, but in terms of urbanism and architecture and connection are the same place.
I don't think so. We have
No?
like some yes connection, but here it's even the architecture here is different from this part. But we have some connection here. We really close by, but as you can see, Kinshasa is really this big. But as you see, like how big is Brazzaville compared to Kinshasa? So, I mean, we feel like I was here, and after that I traveled to Brazzaville. I felt the difference, like in terms of, we have like the same language. Sometimes we speak the same language and we speak also French, but you feel like a little bit of difference in architecture when you travel in the other parts. And I think that it's related to how the country had different influences. Like this one had Belgian influences, and this one has French influence.
Yes, that's typical in town with a river, no? Like in Paris, the Rive Gauche, no? Rive Gauche is a different part of the town, no?
Yes, maybe one question just for this issue. What is affect your relationship with the water? Because I saw a lot of picture around the building, the urban area, but the water is very important for us. And sometimes I don't see, perhaps for this presentation, the very relationship, a very strong relationship, because I think it's very interesting. In this way, is one way it's possible to link to see how separate them, and sometimes it's a very connection area. There is one idea around the water, or the water is only an horizon technological system, or there is one anchoring with the water?
I think for us, we have really a poor relationship with the water. So the water is really polluted, as I can say, and they don't really think of designing. I mean, you can see like the water, they don't really have design like the buffer zone between the water and the people. And I mean, here it's really also difficult because the water has high speed, because this is almost the end of the river, and it has really high speed, and it has all the dirty stuff coming from the previous part of the river. But in my hometown, also is next to the river.
Yeah.
We have really a problem, like I'm going to talk about, is like around here. This Lake Kivu, it has the methane gas. So the problem is like, if we don't extract the gas, sometimes they are saying like in the future, it will have, because it has some different layers, they're saying like more or less like in the future, the gas can come out and almost kill all the people living here. But in the neighboring country, they've started like exploring, I mean like extracting the gas. And here also we have a poor connection with the lake, because there are different people like trying to build in the water, and there's not really a good design which determine like the limit of the water and where people live. But it could be a really good feature if it was well explored and well designed. Like it has a really nice land shape.
Strange is interesting. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Also, James have water in his background with water and two awesome guys.
Yes.
How are your sons?
I'm good.
Finally, in California, they opened again beaches and everything, or not?
Well, this well, as everybody knows, this corona crisis is made doubly bad by the political, how do you say, the politicization of all the problems, both at the international level and also within the United States itself. Of course, the United States and China is blaming each other. It's getting really nasty. But even within the country, it's becoming quite a opposing problems. California being a state that's mostly a Democratic Party. You know, Donald Trump is the Republican, so they are taking the opposing approach to what Trump is saying. So they're trying to delay the opening of the state. As you find, most of the states that's Republican are opening up this weekend. Colorado, Texas, Florida. But California is really delaying this opening, even though it's one of the biggest states. And, you know, it has a lot to do with landscape. I mean, politics aside, California it's got a huge coastline, and it's not outside of Los Angeles. It has very few cities that's densely packed. So the distance between inhabitants are actually very far away. Most people are driving to work instead of taking public transportations. So geographically, it's like a big garden. You know, it's everyone's very far apart. As the population is almost the same as Italy. It's got 40 million people. And so far, it's the death rate is about 1,200 or something. So it's very well controlled. And the second reason is the industry, especially Northern California, with all the Silicon Valley's high technology. Most people are very comfortable working from their homes. So somehow the economy is able to go forward even with the lockdown. So they are really in no hurry to open up. They opened up all the beaches, some of the beaches this past weekend, and they got so scared because everyone rushed to the beaches. I think this weekend the Senators is closing down the beaches again. So it was a temporary opening for about 5 days, and now they're gonna lock it down all over again. So things are very strange. In all over the country, you got this president who's telling people to drink bleach, and you got these other states that's acting more sensible.
And in Australia, Mike, how is going?
Very, very good. Not good, but I think we, our country is a long way away from other big land masses, and we have very definite borders. You know, we have a lot of sea right around the whole island. So actually, I don't think doesn't look like we have too many problems here at all, and we also had some advantage because we kind of learned by the mistakes of other countries, big mistakes. So, but actually, just thinking about what James is saying, I've just been noticing a whole lot of debate amongst urban designers and planners. Because James mentioned it last week, actually, about suburbanism, the suburban model, which is Australia is very much like California. It's a big country, and people's idea of lifestyle was to make, I think they call it a quarter acre block, 300, 400 square meters, a garden, a house or villa. And we kind of copied America a little bit, in doing that in the 1960s, and carved up the land, and we still do it now. people don't like to live in apartments so much. You know, they prefer live on a piece of land with a garden. And it's maybe it's actually been some barrier to the spread of disease, you know, because people aren't all that close to each other.
Yeah.
You know, they're separated. And to be honest, I've been a little bit of a critic of suburbanism in the past. I'm like, oh, that's where all those people live out in the suburbs. It's got no life. It's got no soul. But actually, it's maybe a really healthy planning model. It's made me think a little bit differently, you know, about it, and think maybe it's, you know, it's maybe not such a, you know, a bad thing as well.
Yeah, but at the same time, if I can interrupt you, I mean, in the Middle Ages, the plague also was hitting a lot. Italy more than other countries in Middle Ages, because Italy was the most urban society in Europe, the most concentrated in cities. You had the 50% of the urban population in Europe was in Italy, and this concentration made plague become a huge problem. But this is also at the same time the reason why Renaissance started there. So it is true that it is healthier, this Californian environment James described, and also that Australia characterized. But at the same time, maybe it's bad for the viruses, but it's maybe a bad solution for other things. I don't know. The fact that something is better for the virus, it doesn't mean it's better for society. I don't think we can handle a society made of suburbia. So the thing is that for the future, this whole dilemma about the new society coming from virus crisis is not necessarily a better future in terms of urbanism, because if we start, you know, getting out from the urban and the concentration urban paradigm, we are not, you know, going anywhere to a better situation in terms of geography, I would say. So it's a real paradox, because what we are seeing in Europe is that it's hitting the most urbanized regions. So it is true, and I do think there is a total correlation between.
Yes, this is I suppose this is the main dilemma appeared us in this period. Concentration of sprawl, density, much density, more density, less density. This early morning, our friend Chino Zucchi sent me an article, an interview he released about the because currently the last years co-working, co-housing, but to be honest, this is, as Alfonso told before, the relationship between intimacy and community. The architecture, as Alfonso told, is a really teeny line in the middle, and this boundary is very fragile, and this balance is like on the peak of the huge mountain, and this huge mountain is our planet.
Especially because why we must have one modality? Why we must have everywhere? Because I think this also our problems in the last years. We have all density or difference. The history, how we explain Gregorio, is after Middle Age there is a Renaissance. So you can understand where everywhere we're looking for one equilibrium. Today, with the technology, with the capacity, with the possibility of connection, is the better moment looking for the equilibrium, because it's possible to stay in a different kind of density It's not necessary to have one physical density, because it's a different way. You understand every way how the geometry, the map of the world is different, how you, for the speed of the movement, for the modality of the connection. Today we must to return to the territory, because it is the very value, is the very quality, is the very, and for this I'm very touched by the presentation of Airbnb, because there is a, you might understand also in all parts of the world, this is the very problem by the Occidental culture. You have an extraordinary landscape. We are very restless by the water, but there isn't the heart of the project. You talk the body around the water, the very heart, and to build with one idea of the density of the function where there isn't quality. There is inequality architecture, inequality of the space, inequality of economical. No, there isn't. We must to sort. It's not possible to use in this moment the words, but the contamination or hybridation. I don't know, but in this moment, I think the result is not to looking for one model. Because in the last 50 years, everywhere there is the model after is the slogan, no? Density, sprawl, boundaries, different way. We must, we have all for to understand what is not possible fair, realize. It's very important, very important. And you must to start one idea very more complicated. But it's very interesting this way, I think. First, this question we must to sort this idea to have a very dichotomy, no? By one model, another model. How the religion, the reason to this condition, I think, for me, I think. And our territory, especially the Italy, you know, with our contradiction. In the same time, if you're looking for, you see the Italy is very small. It's nothing. It's a little piece. But you make understand the density, the quality, the contradiction, the variety by the relationship, by the territory, by the landscape, with the little country, little cities. It's very interesting to understand this, but you lose that. We must to restore this. We must to start by this, because it's possible to understand how the other modality will not give a very good solution for me.